If you can only read one book, I think Peter Thiel's 0 to 1 is the best. I love what you just said. You said books are sacred. You're dedicating your time and your effort, your energy, your finances. And I agree, obviously. And we know it's one of the greatest creations because they've lasted 5,000 years. One of the things I most love about Peter's perspective in that book is just like, you should have like a definitive view on the world and believe that the world is malleable and that you can actually change it. It's not all luck. It's not all randomness. And I guess that's what I was taking away from Jerry Seinfeld. And again, it doesn't mean that you have to be super fucking serious about your work. His thing is like, I want to be a really good stand-up comedian so I can make people laugh, because making people laugh is a great form of entertainment. But I think it's all tied to that idea. It's like the difference between, I see a lot of entrepreneurs just like go through life, or like life maybe happens to them. Life doesn't happen to Peter Thiel. He happened to life. Like he happened
to a lot of people's lives.
Yes. His message is like, you can have a definitive plan. And like, I was sitting here thinking, you mentioned earlier, you were listening to a bunch of Founders episodes before we started recording and like writing down these like little maxims that pop up. And one of the things that really resonated with me when I was doing this multiple part series on Walt Disney, is he had a fucking definitive life. Say what you want about him. That dude had a definitive view of life. There was something I said in the podcast by accident. I was just thinking about the highlight in the note that I wanted to talk about. And every single time he wanted to create something new, he grew up thinking he was going to be a newspaper cartoonist. I tweeted his first business card. He was like 18. He's like, hire me. I'm going to be a newspaper cartoonist. Then this new industry of animation comes. He's like, oh, wait, I can actually bring life to cartoons. That's better. When he jumped into animation, it was less than 2 decades old. And he did that on purpose because he wanted to find an industry where he could make a big impact and he could be not just one of the best, but the best. And you see this over and over again. Then he does like shorts. Then he does 7 minutes. Then he does Snow White, the first full-length cartoon. He did the first sound cartoon. He did all this other stuff. Then he does Disneyland. Every single time he's trying to do something, people around him are like, this is stupid. This is a dumb idea. This won't work. He pushed all his chips in multiple times, borrowed against second mortgages, life insurance, sold a vacation house, everything, went all in. And one thing I realized, like, he's studying the life of Disney, it's like he didn't look around. He looked in. And I think that's the biggest thing. I don't give a fuck what other people do for a living. All I'm saying is like, are you actually doing something that's authentic to you? Do you actually want that life? Because there's a ton of people, and we know them, that had this fantastic outcome. They got 50 million, 150 million, 200 million deposited into their account, and they tell you the same thing. I was happy for a day. And then they go into depression. Walt Disney, at the time when he's in his 40s, he is world famous. He's innovated in multiple categories. He is fucking depressed. He is miserable. And why? Because he doesn't have any meaning in his life. That's what Disneyland gave him. It gave back his meaning. I think that ties together with Peter Thiel. That's the reason I asked you, is like, how do you guys want to spend your days? I think we'd all be beneficial. It's like having a definitive view on life, saying this is what I'm doing, the work I'm doing, I know is important because it's an in service to other people. One of my greatest maxims from a history of entrepreneurship is from Henry Ford. Money comes naturally as a result of service. And so I just love that idea. It's like, hey, I find books sacred. I think innovation is sacred. So if you look at how Eric spends his time, it's like, I'm going to write more books, which are fucking fantastic, by the way. I have, I think, 40 extra copies of your Naval book at my house now because I bought like 200 or whatever it was. A bunch of people that take them for founders only. So everybody comes over and is like, here's a book for you. But I love what you just said. We were like, hey, I think books are sacred. I'm going to write more books because your Naval book changed my fucking life.